What if I told you that the same psychological techniques used by ancient shamans to control tribal behavior are being deployed against you right now? Not in some dusty temple, not by robed priests, but by corporations, governments, and social media algorithms. And here is something even more disturbing. There is a biological component to this manipulation that most people have never heard of. Research into mind control that got classified by the government, research that social media companies now own the patents to. Research that explains why you feel compelled to keep scrolling even when you know you should stop. Every morning you wake up and perform rituals you never consciously chose. You stare into screens that are chemically altering your brain. You buy products marked with symbols that bypass your rational mind entirely. And you feel loyalty to brands and groups through mechanisms that are literally tens of thousands of years old. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is neuroscience. This is history. And by the end of this video, you are going to see the invisible strings that have been pulling at your behavior your entire life. More importantly, I'm going to hand you the scissors. Here is something that should concern you. The average person is exposed to between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day. But advertising is just the tip of the iceberg. Every political rally, every corporate team-building exercise, every national anthem, every viral trend you participate in, these are all built on the same ancient architecture of influence. But here is what makes our era different from any that came before. We are not just being influenced psychologically. We are being influenced biologically. The devices we stare at for hours every day are literally changing our brain chemistry, making us more susceptible to manipulation than any generation in human history. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted his famous conformity experiments. He found that people would deny the evidence of their own eyes, giving obviously wrong answers, just to conform with a group. 75% of participants conformed at least once. But here is what most people miss. Asch was documenting something ancient, something hardwired. The same neural pathways that kept our ancestors alive in tribal societies are now being exploited on an industrial scale. And modern technology has found a way to make those pathways even more vulnerable. The question is not whether you are being influenced. You are. The question is whether you want to understand how. Let us start at the beginning, and I mean the very beginning. For roughly 300,000 years, Homo sapiens lived in small tribal groups. Survival was not an individual sport. If you were cast out of your tribe, you died. It was that simple. So evolution did what evolution does. It wired our brains to desperately seek belonging, to fear exclusion, and to adopt the beliefs and behaviors of our group without question. This is not weakness. This is survival programming. Anthropologists have documented initiation rituals in virtually every human society ever studied. The Maasai warriors of East Africa undergo a ceremony called Unoto, where they transition from junior to senior warrior status through elaborate rituals involving head shaving, specific clothing, and the blessing of elders. The process creates intense emotional bonds and absolute loyalty to the group. The Sateremawe tribe of Brazil has their bullet ant initiation. Young men must wear gloves filled with bullet ants whose sting is considered the most painful of any insect, for 10 minutes. They must do this 20 times before being considered a man. The shared suffering creates unbreakable bonds between initiates. Now you might be thinking, okay, interesting anthropology, but what does this have to do with me? I have never worn a glove full of bullet ants, but have you ever been through a corporate onboarding process, a fraternity hazing, military boot camp, a multi-level marketing conference? In 2007, researchers at the University of Queensland published a study in the journal Psychological Science. They found that groups who underwent painful initiation rituals showed significantly higher levels of group cohesion and loyalty than groups with easy or no initiation. The researchers called it the severity effect. The more difficult or painful the entry, the more valuable the membership feels. Your brain literally cannot accept that you suffered for nothing, so it elevates the importance of the group to justify the cost. This is why fraternities haze. This is why elite military units have brutal selection processes. This is why some companies make their interview process intentionally grueling. They are not testing your skills, they are programming your loyalty. But it goes deeper than initiation. Think about the rituals you perform every single day without thinking. The handshake. This gesture dates back at least to the 5th century BCE in ancient Greece. It was originally a way to show you were not holding a weapon. But neuroimaging studies have shown that a handshake activates the same brain regions associated with reward and positive social interaction. A good handshake literally changes how people perceive you. A study from the Weizmann Institute of Science found that after shaking hands, people unconsciously sniff their own hands, sampling the chemical signals transferred during the greeting. We are still animals, running ancient software, standing for a national anthem, putting your hand over your heart, singing together in unison. These are not just traditions, they are technologies of social cohesion that tap directly into tribal bonding mechanisms. Here is where things get weird. Researchers at Stanford University found that simply moving in synchrony with others, walking in step, clapping together, even just tapping fingers at the same rhythm increases feelings of social bonding and makes people more likely to cooperate and even sacrifice for the group. This is why armies march, why churches sing hymns together, why sports fans do the wave, why protest movements chant in unison. The rhythm synchronizes brainwaves. Multiple studies using EEG have shown that when people engage in synchronized activities, their neural oscillations actually align. You are literally getting on the same wavelength as the people around you. And once you are synchronized, you become more susceptible to group influence. Your individual identity starts to blur into the collective. This can be beautiful. It can create profound experiences of connection and transcendence. But it can also be weaponized. Now let us talk about something hiding in plain sight. Symbols. You probably walk past hundreds of carefully designed symbols every single day without consciously registering them. But your unconscious mind is registering every single one, and it is responding. The field of neuromarketing has spent billions of dollars figuring out exactly how visual symbols affect purchasing behavior. And what they have discovered would have been very familiar to ancient alchemists and pagan priests. Alchemy was not just about turning lead into gold. That was the exoteric teaching, the surface-level story for the uninitiated. The real work of alchemy was psychological transformation. And alchemists developed an incredibly sophisticated system of symbols to communicate complex ideas directly to the unconscious mind. But here is something that will change how you see the world around you. These symbols did not come from nowhere. They came from ancient pagan traditions, from mystery schools, from religious systems that predate Christianity by thousands of years. And if you start looking, you will find these ancient gods and symbols are still very much alive in our modern world. Let me give you some examples that might shock you. The Nike swoosh. Most people think it is just a stylized check mark. But Nike is named after the Greek goddess of victory. The swoosh represents her wing. Every time you see that logo, you're looking at a symbol of an ancient pagan deity. And the company knows this. It is not an accident. The Starbucks logo, that is not just a mermaid. That is a siren, specifically a Melusine, a two-tailed mermaid from medieval European mythology with roots going back to ancient Mesopotamian fish goddesses. Sirens were known for luring sailors to their doom with irresistible attraction. The logo is literally telling you that their product is designed to be irresistibly addictive. The Versace logo features the head of Medusa, the Gorgon from Greek mythology whose gaze turned men to stone. The message is that Versace products are so beautiful, so captivating that you will be frozen, unable to look away. The Apple logo, a bitten apple. This is one of the most loaded symbols in Western civilization. The fruit of knowledge from the Garden of Eden, the moment humanity gained awareness through disobedience. Some have also connected it to the golden apples of immortality in Greek mythology, or the apple of discord that started the Trojan War. Whether Steve Jobs consciously intended all these associations or not, your brain makes the connections. The Goodyear logo features the winged foot of Mercury, the Roman god of commerce, communication, and travelers. The Amazon logo has an arrow pointing from A to Z, but that arrow also forms a smile and points to the right, which in Western cultures suggests forward movement. The CBSI logo draws from ancient Egyptian eye symbolism, the eye of Horus associated with protection and royal power. Once you start looking, you cannot unsee it. Our commercial landscape is populated by ancient gods wearing corporate clothing. Now I want to encourage you to do something. Start researching ancient symbols and pagan deities yourself. Look into Norse mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian symbolism, alchemical traditions. Then start looking at the logos and symbols that surround you every day. You will be shocked at what you find. The myths are not dead. They have just changed form. The gods did not disappear. They became brands. In 2014, researchers at the University of Amsterdam published a fascinating study. They showed participants corporate logos for just 13 milliseconds, far too fast for conscious recognition. Then they asked participants about their attitudes toward those brands. Participants who had been subliminally exposed to logos they had seen before, even without consciously recognizing them, showed significantly more positive attitudes toward those brands than participants in the control group. 13 milliseconds. You cannot even consciously perceive something in 13 milliseconds. But your brain can. And it does. And when those logos carry the weight of thousands of years of mythological meaning, the effect is even more powerful. Now think about something. Your environment is absolutely saturated with these symbols, logos on your clothes, brands on your electronics, icons on your phone, symbols on street signs, buildings, products, advertisements. Each one is a tiny piece of programming. Each one carries echoes of ancient power. Most are benign, some are not. But all of them are communicating with your unconscious mind in a language that was developed over thousands of years of human psychological and spiritual manipulation. The alchemists understood this. The priests understood this. The kings understood this. And now the marketers understand this. The question is, do you? Let us talk about something you do every single day, your morning routine. You probably have a sequence of actions you perform almost identically every morning. Maybe you check your phone first thing. Maybe you make coffee in a specific way. Maybe you have a particular order for showering, dressing, eating. These are rituals, and they are programming your brain. Neuroscientists have discovered that repeated behaviors create what are called habit loops in the basal ganglia, one of the most ancient parts of the brain. Once a behavior becomes habitual, it no longer requires conscious thought. It runs automatically like a program. This is incredibly useful. Imagine if you had to consciously think about every step of brushing your teeth. You would be exhausted before breakfast. Habits free up cognitive resources for more important decisions. But here is the problem. You did not consciously design most of your habits. They were installed by your environment, your culture, your family, and increasingly by companies that understand exactly how habit formation works. In 2012, journalist Charles Duhigg published a book called The Power of Habit. He revealed how companies like Procter & Gamble specifically engineer their products to create habit loops. Take Febreze, for example. When it was first introduced, it failed. The product worked great at eliminating odors, but people did not buy it because eliminating odors was not part of their existing routine. There was no trigger. So Procter & Gamble reformulated it with a pleasant scent and repositioned it as the reward at the end of a cleaning routine. Now the trigger was finishing cleaning, the routine was spraying Febreze, and the reward was the pleasant smell. Sales exploded. They did not just sell a product, they installed a habit. This same principle operates on a much larger scale with annual rituals. Think about the holiday shopping season. Black Friday did not exist until the 1950s. It was deliberately created by retailers to kick off the Christmas shopping season. Now it is a cultural institution, complete with its own rituals of waking up early, waiting in lines, and fighting for deals. The entire concept of a Christmas gift-giving season is relatively modern. Before the 19th century, Christmas was primarily a religious observance, not a commercial event. The transformation of Christmas into a shopping ritual was a deliberate campaign by department stores and advertisers. They did not just sell products. They created a cultural ritual that generates hundreds of billions of dollars every single year. And now it feels completely natural. It feels like it has always been this way. Ancient societies understood the power of cyclical rituals. Agricultural festivals marked the planting and harvest seasons. Solstice celebrations marked the turning of the year. These rituals gave meaning to time and created social cohesion. Modern consumer culture has simply hijacked these ancient patterns. Valentine's Day for romantic consumption, Mother's Day and Father's Day for family consumption, back to school season, summer vacation, the Super Bowl. Each one is a ritual that triggers specific behaviors and spending patterns, and they work because they tap into our deep need for rhythm, meaning, and shared experience. The ancient priests controlled the calendar. Now corporations do. In the early 1990s, a team of Italian neuroscientists made an accidental discovery that would revolutionize our understanding of social behavior. They were studying motor neurons in macaque monkeys, trying to understand how the brain controls movement. They had electrodes implanted in the monkeys' brains to measure neural activity when the monkeys performed specific actions like reaching for food. One day, a researcher walked into the lab eating an ice cream cone. The monkey watched him, and something strange happened. The neurons that fired when the monkey reached for food also fired when the monkey simply watched the researcher reach for his ice cream. The monkey was not moving, but its brain was simulating the movement it observed. They called these mirror neurons, and they exist in humans too. Mirror neurons are why you wince when you see someone get hurt, why you yawn when someone else yawns, why watching someone eat can make you hungry. Your brain is constantly simulating the experiences of people around you. This has profound implications for social influence. When you watch someone perform an action, your brain is essentially practicing that action. When you watch someone express an emotion, your brain is simulating that emotion. This is the neurological basis of empathy. But it is also the neurological basis of social contagion. Emotions spread through groups like viruses. Researchers at Yale and the University of California, San Diego analyzed the emotional content of over 1 billion Facebook posts and found that emotional states spread through social networks. Positive posts led to more positive posts from friends. Negative posts led to more negative posts. Your emotions are not entirely your own. They are influenced by the emotions of everyone in your network. Now think about what this means in the context of social media. Every time you scroll through your feed, you are exposing your mirror neuron system to hundreds of emotional expressions, behaviors, and attitudes. Your brain is simulating all of them. You are essentially downloading emotional states from strangers. And the algorithms know this. They are optimized for engagement, which means they are optimized to trigger emotional responses. Strong emotions, whether positive or negative, keep you scrolling. The French sociologist Gustave Le Bon wrote about crowd psychology in 1895. He observed that individuals in crowds undergo a psychological transformation. They become more emotional, more suggestible, more likely to follow leaders, and less capable of rational individual thought. Le Bon called this the collective mind. He noted that crowds are easily swayed by powerful images and symbols, by repetition, and by charismatic leaders who speak to emotions rather than reason. Social media has created a permanent crowd state. You are never alone with your thoughts anymore. You are always in the crowd, always being influenced, always having your emotions synchronized with the collective. Now we come to something that I believe is the most important and least understood piece of this puzzle. Something that explains why we are more susceptible to manipulation today than any generation in human history. It has to do with light. Dr. Jack Kruse is a neurosurgeon who has spent years researching how light affects human biology. And what he has uncovered connects directly to classified mind control research from the Cold War era. In the 1950s and 60s, a Spanish scientist named José Delgado conducted experiments on mind control that were so successful, so disturbing, that much of his work was eventually classified by the United States government. Delgado is famous for stopping a charging bull by remote control using electrodes implanted in its brain, but that was just the public demonstration. According to Dr. Kruse, Delgado's later research went far beyond electrodes. He discovered that electromagnetic frequencies, including specific frequencies of light, could be used to influence brain states, emotions, and behavior without any physical implants at all. Here is where it gets disturbing. Dr. Kruse has pointed out that social media companies now own patents related to this research. The technology that was developed for mind control has found its way into the devices you carry in your pocket and stare at for hours every day. And the mechanism is simpler than you might think. It comes down to blue light and dopamine. Your brain produces dopamine in response to natural light cycles. When you wake up and see the full spectrum of morning sunlight, your brain gets the signal that it is time to be alert, motivated, and engaged. Dopamine rises naturally, but the screens we stare at emit a very specific type of light, blue light, and blue light at the wrong times, in the wrong amounts, without the balancing frequencies found in natural sunlight, disrupts your dopamine system. Here's the key insight from Dr. Kruse. When your dopamine is chronically low, you become more susceptible to whatever is in front of you. Your critical thinking decreases, your impulse control weakens, your ability to resist manipulation drops dramatically. Think about what this means. You pick up your phone. The blue light immediately starts lowering your dopamine. And then, in that neurochemically vulnerable state, you are fed content that has been algorithmically optimized to trigger your emotions, exploit your tribal instincts, and keep you scrolling. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is photobiology. This is neuroscience. The research on how blue light affects circadian rhythms, hormone production, and neurotransmitter levels is well established. A study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that using light-emitting devices before bed suppressed melatonin, shifted circadian rhythms, and impaired morning alertness. But the effects go beyond sleep. Research from Harvard Medical School has shown that blue light exposure affects dopamine signaling in the retina, which has downstream effects on mood, motivation, and cognitive function. When you combine this with what we know about ancient psychological manipulation techniques, tribal programming, symbolic influence, habit formation, and crowd psychology, you start to see the full picture. We are not just being manipulated psychologically, we are being manipulated biologically. The blue light softens up our defenses, and then the ancient techniques do their work on a brain that has been chemically compromised. This is why you feel compelled to keep scrolling even when you know you should stop. This is why social media feels so addictive. This is why it is so hard to think clearly after hours of screen time. Your dopamine system is under attack, and in a low dopamine state, you are the perfect target for manipulation. Here's the thing that should make you angry. The people designing these systems know exactly what they are doing. Former Facebook executives have admitted that the platform was designed to exploit psychological vulnerabilities. The like button, the notifications, the infinite scroll. These are not accidents. They are features designed to keep you in a low dopamine state, constantly seeking the next hit. And now you understand why it works so well. It is not just psychological manipulation. It is biological manipulation. They have found a way to hack your neurochemistry using light itself. The ancient shamans used firelight, drums, and rhythmic chanting to alter consciousness and increase suggestibility. Modern technology has industrialized the process. The blue glow of your screen is the new firelight, and the algorithm is the new shaman. But unlike the ancient shaman who at least lived in your community and shared your interests, the algorithm serves a corporation whose only goal is engagement. Your well-being is not part of the equation. All right, let us pump the brakes for a moment. I have been laying out a pretty compelling case that ancient psychological mechanisms combined with modern light technology are being used to manipulate behavior. And the evidence for much of this is real. But I want to be honest with you about the limitations of this framework. Not everything is manipulation. Rituals serve genuine human needs for meaning, connection, and structure. The morning coffee ritual might have been influenced by Starbucks marketing, but it also provides real comfort and routine. Community rituals create real social bonds that improve mental health and well-being. So where does this leave us? I think the honest answer is somewhere in the middle. Yes, ancient psychological mechanisms influence modern behavior. Yes, corporations and political movements exploit these mechanisms. Yes, technology has amplified these effects dramatically. And yes, there is legitimate science showing that blue light affects our brain chemistry in ways that could make us more vulnerable. But also, humans have always been social creatures shaped by our groups. We have always used rituals and symbols to create meaning. We have always been influenced by each other. The difference now is the scale, the sophistication, the biological component, and the asymmetry of information. The people designing these systems understand human psychology and biology far better than most of the people being influenced by them. That asymmetry is what we can address. So here is the part where I hand you the scissors. Because awareness without action is just entertainment. Strategy number 1. Protect your dopamine by controlling your light environment. This is the biological foundation for everything else. If your dopamine is chronically depleted by blue light exposure, you will be fighting an uphill battle against manipulation. There are several practical steps you can take. For Android users, download the Twilight app, which shifts your screen color from blue toward red, especially in the evening hours. For iPhone users, there is a built-in feature called Night Shift that does something similar, and you can find tutorials on YouTube showing how to set it up for maximum protection. Even better, consider getting a daylight tablet or e-reader that uses e-ink technology instead of backlit screens. These devices reflect light like paper instead of emitting blue light directly into your eyes. They are much gentler on your dopamine system, and if you have to look at a screen without a red R filter, then wearing blue blocking glasses will help out a lot. And most importantly, get natural sunlight, especially in the morning. Even 10 minutes of outdoor light exposure in the first hour after waking can help reset your circadian rhythm and support healthy dopamine production. This is not optional. This is foundational to your mental sovereignty. Strategy number 2, audit your rituals. Take a piece of paper and write down everything you do habitually in a typical day. Morning routine, work habits, evening wind down, weekly patterns. Be specific. Then ask yourself 3 questions about each ritual. Did I consciously choose this? Who benefits from this behavior? Does this serve my actual goals and values? You might be surprised how many of your daily rituals were installed by external forces rather than conscious choice. You do not have to eliminate all of them. Some habits are useful, but you should know which ones you are choosing and which ones were chosen for you. Strategy number 3. Become a student of ancient symbols and mythology. I mentioned earlier that many corporate logos draw directly from ancient pagan deities and alchemical symbols. The best way to see through this is to become familiar with the source material. Start researching Greek mythology, Roman mythology, Norse mythology, Egyptian symbolism, alchemical traditions. Learn about the gods and goddesses, their symbols, their meanings. Read about mystery schools and esoteric traditions. Then start looking at the logos and symbols that surround you every day with new eyes. You will be shocked at what you find. The myths are alive. The gods are wearing corporate clothing, and once you can see it, you cannot unsee it. This is not about becoming paranoid. It is about developing visual literacy. Just like you learn to read words, you can learn to read the symbolic language that surrounds you. And that literacy is a form of protection. Strategy number 4. Disrupt your digital tribe. Consciously expose yourself to perspectives outside your filter bubble. Follow people you disagree with. Read news sources from different political orientations. Engage with ideas that challenge your existing beliefs. All of these behaviors have been proven to build natural dopamine. This is uncomfortable. Your brain will resist it because tribal belonging feels safe. But intellectual diversity is the antidote to algorithmic manipulation. Also, consider a regular digital detox. Even 1 day per week without social media can help reset your emotional baseline and reduce the influence of algorithmic emotional contagion. Combine this with time in nature and natural light for maximum effect. Strategy number 5. Design your own rituals. This is the most powerful step. Instead of passively accepting the rituals installed by your culture, consciously create rituals that serve your values and goals. Want to be more creative? Design a morning ritual that includes natural light exposure and primes your brain for creative thinking. Want deeper relationships? Create regular rituals of connection with the people who matter to you, preferably in person and outdoors. Want to resist consumer manipulation? Create rituals of gratitude and contentment that reduce the power of advertising. My favorite morning ritual is to see the sunrise. The unique sunrise frequencies are very important for creating our hormones and increasing your dopamine level. And it's a bonus if you can do it while touching the bare ground outside, because then you absorb electrons from the earth. The ancient priests understood that whoever controls the rituals controls the people. Take back control of your own rituals and you take back control of your own programming. Strategy number 6. Develop meta-awareness. This means cultivating the ability to observe your own thoughts and behaviors from a slight distance. When you feel a strong urge to buy something, to share something, to join something, to keep scrolling, pause and ask where that urge is coming from. Is this my authentic desire, or is this programming? Meditation practices are useful for this, but you do not need to become a monk. Even the simple habit of pausing before reacting, taking 3 breaths before making decisions can create enough space for conscious choice. The goal is not to become a robot who never feels emotions or social connection. The goal is to notice when you are being influenced and to consciously choose your response rather than reacting automatically. Here is what I want you to take away from this. You are running ancient software in a modern world. That software was designed for tribal survival, for small group cooperation, for a world where the biggest influence on your behavior was the 100 or so people in your immediate community. Now that same software is being accessed by corporations, algorithms, and political movements operating at global scale. They have studied the code, they know the exploits, and they have added a biological weapon to their arsenal. The blue light from your screens is chemically softening your defenses, making the ancient manipulation techniques more effective than ever. But here's the thing. You have something they cannot take from you, something that separates you from every other creature on this planet. Volition. The philosopher Ayn Rand identified volition, the capacity for free will, as the fundamental distinction between human beings and all other life. Animals operate on instinct, plants respond to stimuli, but humans possess the unique ability to choose to think or not to think, to focus their mind or let it drift, to question or to accept. This is not a small thing. This is everything. Every manipulation technique we have discussed today, the tribal programming, the symbolic influence, the habit loops, the dopamine depletion, all of it works by bypassing your volitional faculty. It works by getting you to react automatically instead of choosing consciously. It works by keeping you in a state where you do not exercise the one power that makes you human. Rand wrote that man is a being of volitional consciousness, that the choice to think, to focus one's mind, is the primary choice upon which all other choices depend. You can choose to be aware. You can choose to question. You can choose to examine the influences acting upon you and decide whether to accept or reject them. The ancient shamans could manipulate tribal members because those members never questioned. The modern algorithms can manipulate users because those users never pause to exercise their volition. They scroll on autopilot. They react on instinct. They surrender the very faculty that makes them human. But you do not have to. The moment you exercise your volition, the moment you choose to think, to focus, to question, you step outside the manipulation. Not perfectly, not completely. We are still social creatures with biological vulnerabilities, but meaningfully, powerfully. The rituals you perform, the symbols you respond to, the tribes you belong to, the habits you repeat, the light you expose yourself to, these can all become conscious choices, not reactions. Choices, that is the master key. Not immunity to influence, but the exercise of your uniquely human capacity for volition. The manipulators are counting on you to remain passive. They are counting on you to never exercise your volition. They have built entire industries on the assumption that you will keep scrolling, keep consuming, keep reacting without ever stopping to think. Prove them wrong, protect your dopamine, question your rituals, learn the language of symbols. Design your own programming, and above all, exercise the faculty that makes you human. Choose to think, choose to focus, choose to be the author of your own life rather than a character in someone else's script. The ancient shamans knew something powerful. The modern manipulators know it too. They know how to bypass your volition. But now you know as well. And knowing is the first step. The second step is choosing. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. And that is the whole point. It is up to you. It always has been. Stay curious, stay volitional.